Hi, call the meeting to order, please. First, we have presentation and approval of the financial statements for 2022.
We have Jacob Skivo from Bonadio who's gonna present the financials that I think everyone here is happy of. Okay, Jacob.
Hey, thanks, Chuck. Yep, I am the principal responsible for signing your audit. So what we have today is the December 31st, 2022 financial statements. So we'll start with that document that says financial statements right on the front. Just to point out, this statement is for the year ended 2022, since it's the only year of operation for the organization so far. Moving forward, in future years, these statements will be comparative. So next year will be on 2023 and 2022. Starting over on page 1, you'll see the independent auditors report. This is really what you're getting from us, our report on the financial statements. Right at the front of it, you'll see the opinion paragraph, and you'll see that we've expressed an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which this is the highest level of assurance that we can provide. Further down the page, you'll see the responsibilities of management for the financial statements. This points out that the financial statements belong to the organization, and management is responsible for what is included in the statements. Over on the second page, you'll see the responsibilities of us as your external auditor. And as your auditor, we're responsible for providing this opinion on the financial statements based on performing a risk assessment and performing audit procedures to respond to those risks. Moving on to the statements themselves, over on page 7, you'll see the statement of net position, which is essentially the balance sheet of the organization. So I'll just point out kind of quick the activity so far where things show up. So on the balance sheet at year end, what is left is cash in the organization, basically the amounts received transferred from the city that haven't been spent yet. And at this time, there were no receivables or payables or any other balance sheet items at year end. Over on page 8 is the statement of revenues, expenses, and change in net position, which is essentially the income statement or profit and loss. I'll just point out at this point, we're showing the operating expenses for expenditures related to the parking garage development project. At this point, as the property is still owned by the city, all of these items are expenses to the organization. In future years, at a point when an asset transfer happens and the project moves forward, you will see amounts beginning to be capitalized and recorded as capital asset as that asset is constructed. Moving towards the back of the statements on page 13, this is the other auditors report that we are responsible for and we provide. This report is our report on internal controls of the corporation in accordance with government auditing standards. Government auditing standards apply to the engagement, so we have to provide this report based on the fact that the corporation will be blended up into the city's financial statements. And what this report says is that as part of our audit, we get an understanding of the corporation's internal controls. And while we don't express an opinion on the effectiveness of the controls, if there are any deficiencies in there that we identify as being a material weakness or significant deficiency, we would report those to you in here. So you'll see that there were none reported for the year. So basically no findings, and that's the desired outcome from your end. Any questions on the statements or the reports in that document?
Jacob, I do have a question. Do we have to approve these financials and then you send me a final version?
Yep, so the last thing we need is just the signed rep letter, upon which point we'll be able to issue in final form, and remove the draft watermarks. In which you have until, I believe, next Friday is the 30th or 31st. So that is the deadline for the upload to the state.
Which form do I gotta send you?
The rep letter,
Okay.
let me know if you don't have that. I can shoot you another copy of it.
No, I have a copy of it.
Okay. All right, I'll just cover quickly the other two documents we provide. So the next one is the required communications letter. So that's the letter that says significant audit matters in bold after the first paragraph. This is stuff that's required for us to communicate to you after the audit, and basically report any issues that were encountered in the audit process, of which there were no disagreements or issues in completing the audit, and no proposed audit adjustments. And then lastly, we just have a letter on public authority law, and point out that there are some additional requirements under the public authority law for investments at this point in time. All the assets of the corporation are in cash, so there are no further requirements to consider. If ever that changes and anything is put into investments, we can further talk about the requirements there and make sure that you meet the compliance with that.
Jacob, let's talk about that a little bit. So if I have a bond coming our way that may be like $20 million, say,
Mhm.
how does that have to be invested? Can I invest that to get some interest on it, or like in treasuries, or?
Yeah, so it's allowable. And if you have a plan, we can look at the specifics. But basically, the main requirements of it are that you have a formal approved investment policy that gets readopted annually, and that you continue to comply with that policy. And then depending on what's in there, there may be an extra filing requirement of reporting on that.
Is that the same for the city?
Yep. Well, not the public authority law piece.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just from the ABO for authorities.
Okay, so do we move the motion to accept
I'll
the
make a motion.
2022?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks, everyone, and we'll make sure we get this issued so you can be clear of your deadline.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Old business, there is none. And so we move to new business. Resolution 23-2, a resolution of the city of Binghamton Water Street Development Corporation approving an updated procurement policy, which should be in your packet. Everybody had a chance to look at it. since yesterday.
What's the update, basically? What's the update, so it's been updated? Are we just adopting the city?
No,
What's the-
so previously there was not a procurement policy adopted for this body. So this is not actually an update. It is just the first procurement policy to be adopted. Because we have to according to public authorities law. So this is a very similar document to the procurement policy that the BLDC uses. And it's basically just the bare minimum that public authorities law requires us to have. Boilerplate, it's used by most LDCs, you know, of this size for this purpose. So, you know,
Gotcha, that makes
that's what we're
sense.
doing.
I'll make a motion.
Please,
Motion.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I live alone, so sometimes I don't get to speak at all. Okay, so passed, thank you. Resolution 23-3, a resolution of the city of Binghamton Water Street Development Corporation approving an updated disposition of real property guidelines.
It's the same thing, right?
Yes, this is the same thing. This is a public authorities law requirement. And this is a very similar document to what the BLDC uses.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Very good, all approved.
Aye.
Thank you.
You are behind the 100%.
Yeah, I did.
110. Okay, last, the resolution 23-4. A resolution of the city of Binghamton Water Street Development Corporation authorizing the president to enter into an agreement with the city of Binghamton for the purchase of 183 Water Street for the purpose of developing a parking garage.
This is down to city council to vote on it next week, to sell it to Water Street Development. So we also have to approve of it also.
So 183 Water Street, that's
It's
the
a
footprint
location.
of the garage.
Yes.
That's the address of the garage.
Yes.
Okay.
And Chuck, is it accurate that that transfer won't happen until such a time as the construction is actually starting?
So once we approve the contract.
Okay.
And
Once you approve the contract for the purchase,
to build a garage,
okay, and what's the timeline on that?
so.
Wasn't there supposed to be middle of March?
We got the numbers in the middle of March. That's what you have here. Let me go get them.
You want to do that as part of the update? I mean,
Yeah, that's fine, okay, so a motion again,
a motion.
second, all in favor,
Aye.
okay, opposed,
But basically, it gives you guys the right to execute that agreement whenever it makes sense to, as opposed to we get the contract in place and then we're going to city council and then we have to.
Water Street.
crossing Ts and dotting Is. Do I sign this? Rachel?
No,
That's
technically,
during the course of
somebody else
construction,
we have to
figure
have
out where if Water Street's gonna own after that, or if it just conveys back to the city, because we have the agreement with LAC, that would be a top question. Does the property get conveyed back to the city after construction or does it remain with the LAC?
Stay with them.
So as far as the maintenance before the construction, is the city gonna still maintain? Things like that?
What do you mean by maintenance?
I don't know, is there?
Limits of the garage. if I can-
Yeah.
Well, up the property owner, right, was you're responsible for.
Yeah.
It's our property no matter what, right?
The
That's what
LDCs.
it sounds
Can you grab that one there? I mean, that was just now.
Beautiful building,
Yeah,
good job, guys,
This is a proposal that we received. From Pike last Friday, I believe it was, might have been Thursday. There's a lot of different things in here, The overall cost of this is roughly $24.5 million, which is about $1.5 million more than what we originally planned for. There's still some things that I'm working out with them. If you go to the fourth page, the garage is gonna be 21.4 million. And the podium is which is required to build a housing unit is roughly 3 million. We basically have 30 days from the time we receive this quote to make a decision on it. I will say that through our attorney, through the city's attorney, Dan Adams, we don't believe this is really a GMP, meaning it's a guaranteed maximum price, because they have some quotes in here that say they can vary. So we're telling them, no, you can't. If this is a GMP, this is the final numbers. And they've done all the survey, we paid for all the groundwork, and they need to be responsible for it. We're also asking for a few other things on the exterior of the building. Once we do this and we move forward, they basically have a year to start building the housing unit. They have not committed to the housing unit, but we're also trying to tie their hands on this too, based off of the contract, that we'll get that commitment. I mean, ultimately, we gotta work together on this, but there's no way the city is gonna go ahead, or Water Street Development's gonna go spend $3 million and then not build the housing.
Yeah.
So when are you gonna get that in writing?
We're working on it, Chris. I spent most of the day on and off phones, passing emails, and trying to get that.
What's your opinion? You think it's a go?
Yes,
Okay.
I've been told by the owner that it's a go. Okay,
We
but-
just have to have it guaranteed,
Yes,
because we're spending $3 million.
yes, and that 3 million is gonna be paid through a long-term pilot agreement. So the housing unit's gonna pay us a pilot.
No, I
just for
understand,
that,
but still,
But that's why it needs to be tied in. If we did do this without that, other people could build on top of it. But it would just push this whole project back years until you found someone else that could come in and do it.
Right, when we started this several years ago, I mean, the goal was to package these two together. And
Well-
this, both the housing developer and parking lot developer, you know, they were picked as part of in tandem, the package that submitted the bid, so. It's good that we got to that point. I think, you know, Chuck Shager is a big part of you know, handling the day-to-day stuff on behalf of the administration. So, well done, Chuck.
no, thank you, Joe.
I
Thank you,
do think
everyone.
it's gonna
I mean,
go through. Now, also part of your package is an insight they gave me and part of the, why the prices have gone up. And I will say, I question everything that's on this quote. One of the things that has
Thank you.
occurred that I think everyone's familiar with is the requirements for building a project like this has changed dramatically over the last 3 years. With that house that collapsed down, I mean, where some of the foundations weren't. Basically, the foundations here where they may have been able to say, we need to build 20 more piles, they're now telling them you have to build 50 more piles. It's the things underneath, right? So those requirements, where we thought it might have been a $250,000 2 years ago, it's probably about 700,000 right now. To put those extra piles in the ground.
What's the prices are based on would you say they're gonna start building?
The game plan here, they would like to have an answer by April 1st. I'm not sure that's gonna happen. Okay. We definitely have to have something in April because, all the steel that's gonna go into this building is cut. Where we get the steel from will be cut in the month of April. After April, they stop cutting steel, is the way I understand this. They will start putting the piles in May. And they will start constructing the garage in October.
So they've already set price for all so the prices they're giving you there's probably room to fluctuation because there's gonna be change orders. Is that
There
included?
should not be any change orders on this, Chris. They're supposed to know everything. We've agreed what we wanted. Okay, they've agreed to the price of those items, okay? I don't think they've met every one of our requirements, okay, in here. That's what I'm going back after them for. But I think that's gonna happen, okay? This project should be totally done by next May. Okay, it will probably be able to be used on the first and second floor in January of next year or February.
You say the whole project, that's including the apartment?
No, the apartments will be a year after that.
It starts on the
So
How is that gonna affect the use of the parking floors.
It's gonna hurt the use of parking next November and December. That's,
When they're doing the
When-
construction on the apartment.
Right. As long as there's cranes putting pieces of building up, okay, you can't have people below it. Once they get everything built, you can start utilizing it, like when they start doing the cosmetics to it. And they expect that to be done in January time period, possibly February.
So we'll have less parking for next Christmas than we did this year, even with your clever use
Yes,
of. And probably the street might be a problem too.
the
of
street
the
down that
cranes.
end, but most of, I'll try to explain everything. So here's
Is
Boston.
it more on Henry Street and then the back side of the street?
What they're gonna do is hopefully they're gonna have to shut off some of this, okay, this is being water, okay? But the way they're building it, they're gonna start up near Boscov's and work their way towards Henry. So they'll do first floor like that, then they'll do the second.
So the Boscov's aware that next year they're gonna have a problem with parking there.
I don't believe so.
Well, you
They
know
call you
what?
every day to
If
tell you they're
it's-
behind this.
They've gone by through two holidays now.
No, I mean, it would be nice if they could wait till December 27th to start. But delays have been delays. I mean, we're already a year and a half
Right,
off.
yeah, there's,
And
I
trying-
get it. And you know, what we're gonna do is we'll just keep making announcements that all the projects going well and we'll have parking and, you know. Just keep upbeating it,
delays,
that's all.
you know, price increases, so it's always.
That's the only thing too.
uncertainty.
Yeah, but we're just gonna be optimistic. Oh, look what this, and then they're gonna start, oh, you know, just. Be positive.
The on-street parking really has, I think, paid huge dividends, so that was a very good idea to do that.
And I
And
think when
service
you,
lots seem to help too, so.
and I think when you look at that, parking lot. At least I keep an eye on it, there's cars that are parked there for hours at a time.
There's always people.
It's
that-
probably that way in the street too.
Huh?
That's that way.
On the street, we're pretty good at enforcing it. Mike and Casey do a good job of enforcing, giving people tickets, okay? That parking lot is free, so I think at some point, we have the people that live down there are parking there instead of on the street getting tickets. Okay, that's what I think has occurred, why you see a lot of cars there at times. But in hindsight, that's a good thing because it gives more free parking for Boscov's today. Instead of having people walk from the parking lot down, they can park in front of Boscov's. And walking, as well as Nurchie's, so
I don't think it's negatively affected Boscov's at all.
I don't think so, yeah, we have another headache here that we're also trying to work on is how we're gonna fix the Boscov's roof. And all that, yes. That's all, I don't have those numbers on that, and that's the other reason I'm trying to get some numbers so that we can figure out how we're gonna pay for all this stuff. At one point, Boscov's is gonna buy that building, that's not the case right now. So,
The building they're in,
um,
is it- they're gonna buy the building they're in.
no, at one point, they were gonna buy the building. Okay, we're gonna sell it to them, that's not happening now.
That's too bad. They should own. That would really make them a long term.
Yeah, but there's no chance in hell that they'll do anything to upgrade it.
I mean, Sarah's working on a long-term lease with them. So,
But that's the only way we can get the money for the building upgrade is if we own it.
correct.
So after we've done everything that we can,
There's a compliance period that we have to continue to hold the property for, so we're focusing on the long-term lease as a,
compliance period.
Yeah.
And then the next lease, at their option,
we could certainly negotiate at that time, hopefully that'll be in 10 years.
I won't be around sometime.
10 years goes by pretty quick.
Let's go like. How many years we got in council?
I even brought the dollar for the property. Any
If you
other,
guys wanna go through this later, if
You wanna write a check for that?
you can, give me a
Tax
call.
deductible.
If you got questions on this, you can, give me a call and I'll get you answers if I don't have them. There's a lot of exclusions and stuff in here that we've worked our way through, but
well, I think the administration's done a fantastic job. Everybody's part of it. I mean, this is quite a project.
When it's done, it'll be a nice project.
$24 billion, it's.
Well, it's just an unusual project too. It's
Actually, when it's
not like you're building something that you're gonna make money on.
When this whole project's done, it'll be closer to 60 million.
60 million.
When this and
So
the
with the
housing, the
apartments.
Boscovs. It'll be a,
It's huge.
I mean, that whole block will be humming in the buildings. Are most of the buildings behind it occupied with businesses? The old Clark Cleveland,
who about the building next door?
right behind, between the river, which is Wall Street.
Mhm.
Where-
Most of those
where's the
buildings,
Tria used to be?
pardon?
Where's the Tria used to be, or
No, there's actually
next to it.
manufacturing,
the source?
What was it?
Source Corp?
Westco
Yeah.
or
Source Corp,
Source
that
Corp.
building's
So-
been sold, so there's a nonprofit entity owns that now.
a nonprofit also. Oh, good. Well,
That's
Boone
private property
County.
transactions.
Go down the
Mhm.
parkway, have the parkways,
Private Property transactions.
okay,
You don't know who owns that?
no,
Who owns it?
Bob,
they bought that?
Yeah. Let's stop putting money there, aren't you?
Well, I do things for them, I don't give them money.
did we adjourn the meeting, or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I was looking for you to fall asleep and relax. Yes, please, I'll
Motion to adjourn.
adjourn, please,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Yes.